In this next segment, we're going to talk about the new feature that's coming out in cash management called Bank Transactions Assist. And this again is for Sage Intacct 2023 R4 release. So just to recap again, if you want to find out more information or circle back on this new feature here, go right into the release notes at your homepage in Intacct, and you can hit read release notes. And you're going to be able to see all of the release notes, but the one specifically we're talking about now is down in cash management called Bank Transaction Assistant. And if you click on a new workflow, they provide a fantastic overview of the process and how it functions, and basically what we're going to go over today. And it does look like, in this case, if you want to take advantage of it, you may need to join the early adopter program, which you can do down here as well. What's really nice is they have a very visual chart here that you can look through the process, and we're going to go through this process today, and then you can get more information on it as well. So that's available for you. So what we're going to do is kind of go through a couple of the configuration items and take a step back. What this basically can do for you is this can allow you to automatically assign customer payments that have come in electronically from the bank feeds to the actual customers in your accounts receivable module, and then also apply payments to those invoices automatically, and also give you the ability to issue advances. If you haven't created the invoice yet, you can actually store them as advances in accounts receivable and then apply them later there to the invoices once they get created. So a couple things that you're going to need to do is, in general, if you're not using the bank feeds and you want to use bank feeds, you're going to need to make sure under subscriptions, and you're going to want to be a full admin to do this. Under admin, you're going to make sure in subscriptions that you have, if you scroll down near the bottom, the Sage Cloud Services, make sure you have that enabled. It's going to provide you with a message that says, hey, you might be charged for this. The bank feeds come with 200 bank feeds and no extra charge. So as long as you're not doing more than 200 bank feeds, you'll be fine. And you can configure, once you slide this over, you're going to want to wait for this configuration button. You may have to save and refresh. But once you have the configuration button, you're going to want to make sure you turn on enable bank feeds inside here. Okay. So once that's on, you're going to have the ability to get your bank transactions automatically integrated into Intacct, into cash management. Then the other thing you're going to need to do is in cash management, in your configuration under setup, there is going to be a button in the banking section called Enable Bank Transaction Assistant. And that's the new functionality that we're talking about today. So you want to make sure that's enabled as well. So once those two functions are set up in the system, you will notice in the setup and cash management that there should be a new reconciliation rule called assignment rules. And we'll jump into that in a second. As far as your last setup, if you are using bank feeds and you haven't turned on and signed into your online bank account yet, you need to do that inside your checking account. And if you go into your checking account, you'll see a tab called Banking Cloud. So you want to make sure you're connected and transactions are actually downloading for you. You need your login information and you'll need to sync up to your bank. But once that's done, you can see here I'm synced up to a live demo bank here, and we have some feeds from today that are connected. I'm all good, so I should be able to see transactions in the system. So let's take a quick look at those transactions. If I go into bank transactions here, you'll see a bunch of transactions that have come in the system, and there's different views, and you could establish your own views in the bank transaction feed. And so one view they do have is something called Cash In. And it shows you transactions that have come in that are deposits that have cash in to your bank account. And so this is where we're going to use for our demo today on how to do this bank transaction assistant. So what you're able to do is assign a transaction based on all or part of the description of that transaction to a particular customer. And then the system will remember that for next time and apply them automatically to the customers as they come in. You can either do this on the fly, or you can do it ahead of time. And that's where we go back into that setup, reconciliation rules, assignment rules. And you'll notice here, I do have one already set up. And let's go ahead and go into it. And I'll click edit. You can just click add for a new one. But this one assignment rule says, okay, for this customer in accounts receivable, Tiny Smith, and this bank account, we're going to create assignment detail here. And it's going to be based on any transaction type equals to credit. And in the bank transaction description, it's going to contain this word, Smith Tiny. So it's going to look for that functionality. And you can go ahead and set that up ahead of time if you know, for example, that this description is always going to be in there. And actually, I do know. So let's go ahead and set one up. I do know that we have a customer called TriTech, and they're always going to have C115 in the description of their payments. So what we can do is we can come into here, go back to the list. I can hit add, and I can pull up that customer, which is TriTech, from my customer list. And I can say it's either for all bank accounts, or I can do a specific bank account. I'm going to give it an ID. I'm just going to call it TriTech, consistent with their customer. And we'll make it active. Automatically fills in the credit side for you because it knows it's for payments for customers. And now I'm going to say bank transaction. I know in the description, and we'll verify this later, contains, or begins with, ends with, we're going to say contains C115. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and hit that and then click save. And that's going to create an assignment rule. Now you did notice in here there was a preview. So let's see if we do have any in here. Let's say preview here. And it doesn't show us anything at a time. So we'll wait. We'll wait and go ahead and see once we get in there. So you can set that up ahead of time. And so now if we go into cash management, all bank transactions, and you'll notice these are my unmatched transactions that have come in from my bank feed, and automatically it knows, because this subscription here came in from the bank, it had C115 on it, it already assigned that transaction to the customer. So let's hit a sort here and let's see. So you can see there's my 2 from Tiny, and then there's my other ones from the TriTech system. So you can do that automatically ahead of time, and it's assign those customers for you. Now, what you can also do is do it on the fly. So now you're in here looking around, for example, and I'm going to sort by description here. Let's try this way. Nope, let's go this way, sorry. And I'm just going to page through. I do know that we are charging Napoli Pizzeria for some maintenance, regular maintenance we do for them, and it's $66 a month. So I can see here they must have sent the payment in, and it looks like their payment's always going to have a C99001 on it. So let's do this. I'm going to copy that. And I could do it for all 3, or I can do it for just 1, but I can click on that line, and you can hit this button here, assign to customer. So you can do it on the fly the first time. And once you do it, it knows it for the rest. So now it says, okay, well, the description for that line is there. And I'm going to say, whenever this is in the description, in the mapping value, and you have a little help here on this too, and they go through just talking about the assignment rules, assign it to this customer. So I'm going to say it's going to be Napoli Pizzerias. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and check that, and I'm going to click save. And this is demo data. It says that it may not be saved, but it is saved. And then you'll notice up here, I assigned it, and I created an assignment rule for you. Automatically, all of those now are assigned to Napoli. And if we go back into our assignment rules, you'll see I have a new assignment rule now for Napoli. Okay, so you can kind of add these on the fly as they come in as well. So the next step is to apply them to any outstanding payments automatically. So if we go over to accounts receivable, look at my invoices, I do have some invoices in here for this. You'll see one of these is already paid, and there's a couple invoices in the system for TriTech and Napoli, and they're outstanding. You can see I can apply payments here, but we do have some receivables, invoice 8, invoice 5, September and October. So if I go ahead, actually, let's do this. Let's leave that open, and we'll duplicate here. And let's go back to cash management and look at my bank transactions. So now I can see what's assigned to who. I like to do a filter here. Now you can make your own views, so you can manage views that says, just show me customers that have been assigned or transactions that have been assigned. I'm just going to do a filter here quickly on the customer ID, so you can see them all here. So I can do this however I want. I can come into here and say, all right, I want to assign these all at the same time, or I want to do one at a time. It's up to you. I'm just going to do it one at a time for simplicity. Let's say we got a payment from TriTech on 9/16. I'm going to check the box here, and you're going to say receive payments. And when you do that, it's going to take a look, and there's different methods to how you want to apply. Do you want to match to any open amount? Do you want to match to the oldest invoice first, the most recent, the largest amount? Or if you don't have an invoice in there, you can also issue an advance over an accounts receivable. So let's do the oldest invoice first. And then what you can do here is hit this preview payment application, and it will show you now right here that, okay, well, in that case, then for TriTech, I'm going to apply it to invoice 5. So if we take a look over here, it's going to, let's filter by customer. It's going to apply it to the oldest invoice because we told them to do that. And it's going to apply it to 9/1 invoice for us. That's great. That's the one we want to do. And then how did they pay it? And, if it's an ACH, it's most likely going to be what's called a record transfer. And you could put a payment memo on it if you want to. But let's just go ahead and hit post. And what will happen now is you successfully received one payment. You'll notice now there's only 4 left because our view is only showing unmatched transactions. And if we jump over to here, you'll also notice that if I do a refresh on this, that we have one of these have paid. And there's the payment. And if we want to go ahead and view it, we should be able to see that it's paid. And there's the EFT that it was paid with automatically in your system. And then there's a little register that you can run on that. And then you can see posting details. So that is pretty slick in the system, especially if you have a lot of small invoices, you want to apply these automatically. You can go ahead and do that in the system. So try it out. You can try it out on one customer if you want, but it's a pretty slick feature that's coming out in cash management for our R4 release. This is something that you thought was helpful. Please go ahead and, as always, like and subscribe, and we'll move on to the next topic for the releases.